Earth's closest celestial neighbor is featured in this photograph. What is this famous celestial body called? It's the moon. People have been looking at the moon and wondering about it for thousands and thousands of years, and they have invented all kinds of stories about it. The moon is basically just a big cold rock. Although the moon sometimes appears to be shiny and bright in the night sky, the moon does not produce any light of its own. It is not a star like the sun, but just a rock. The light you see when you look at the moon is actually light from the sun reflecting off of it. While Earth orbits or revolves around the sun, the moon orbits or revolves. Go ahead. The moon orbits or revolves around Earth. Do you remember how long it takes for Earth to orbit or go all the way around the sun? 365 days, or 1 year. Can you guess how long it takes for the moon to orbit Earth? It takes a little more than 27 days, or about a month, for the moon to make a complete trip around the Earth. But the moon also rotates on its axis as it orbits Earth. In fact, the moon rotates exactly once as it orbits Earth exactly once. This remarkable feature keeps the same side of the moon always facing Earth. That means we never see the back of the moon when we look up at the sky. The appearance of the moon, or the way it looks, changes depending on where it is in its orbit. The moon orbits Earth in a counterclockwise motion. The sun is over on the right-hand side of the diagram.
Or the right.
The sun. Yeah. During the first half of its orbit, the moon is said to be waxing. Meaning that over the course of several days, more and more of it becomes visible from Earth. Then halfway through its cycle, sunlight, arrow are confusing the moon appears, yeah, meaning that the side facing the Earth is also facing the light of the sun. As the moon completes the last half of its monthly orbit, less and less of it is visible each night. During this time, we say that the moon is waning.
Can you spell that?
W-A-N-I-N-G.
Okay.
Less of the moon is seen. Yeah. By the time it completes its cycle, it appears as little more than a shiny sliver of light in the sky. On other nights, it looks like there is no moon at all. Remember how the moon does not make any light of its own? Well, sometimes the moon is between the sun and the Earth, and the side of the moon facing the Earth does not reflect any sunlight. When this happens, the side of the moon facing the Earth is dark, and it looks like there's no moon in the sky. When there's no moon in the sky, this is called a new moon. The moon never looks exactly the same from one night to the next. The moon does not change its shape. It is always as a big round rock. Instead, it only appears to change shape, depending on how sunlight hits the moon during its orbit. On certain nights, you can only see a sliver or small piece of the moon. This is called a crescent moon. On other nights, it looks like someone sliced the moon in half. This is called a half moon. Halfway through its cycle, the moon looks like this. This is called a full moon. Because it only takes 27 days for the moon to complete its orbit around Earth, and most months in the calendar have about 30 days, it is possible for a full moon to appear twice in the course of one calendar month. When this happens, it is called a blue moon, when you see the full moon twice. But this is rare, meaning it only happens every few years. So that's when you hear the saying, it only happens once in a blue moon. Some people say they see what looks like a man's face when they look at the full moon. That is why people sometimes talk about the man in the moon, as though there really were a face on the moon. Can you see what appears to be two eyes, a nose, and a mouth on this moon? Of course, in reality, there's no face on the moon. It's just a big round rock. People sometimes see what looks like a man's face in the moon because of dark areas on the moon's surface. These dark areas are places where a long time ago, lava from inside of the moon poured out into the moon's surface. These areas no longer have lava in them, but the holes left behind reflect sunlight differently. So when you look up at a full moon, you are actually seeing deep and dark holes across the moon's surface. When you take a close-up look, you can see that the moon's surface is also covered with hundreds and thousands of craters, which are those holes. To understand why these craters are there, you need to know a few more facts about the moon. Unlike Earth, the moon has no atmosphere. There is not a protective bubble of air around the moon. Nor does the moon have any water, soil, plants, or any other signs of life whatsoever. Without an atmosphere, the moon has nothing to protect it from all the meteoroids that zoom throughout space. As you learned, meteoroids strike Earth all the time. Meteoroids. Yeah. Let's do space first. But when they hit the atmosphere, most of them burn up in a streak of light known as a meteor. Meteoroids, however, do not burn up when they hit the moon. They just crash right into the moon's surface and leave what are known as impact craters. In a later read aloud, you will learn the amazing true story about real men on the moon. Not just lava lakes that look like a man's face, but actual men who traveled to the moon and walked around on it. How do you think they got there?